Hello everybody, welcome back to my 1.17 testing world. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit silly, but definitely special. So behind me, I've already built up the farm I'm going to be showing you. And it is a renewable lava farm. However impractical and stupid it is. So I think we're just going to start by going over some of the mechanics of how this farm works. But I really want to show you it working first, so you give a little sneak peek of this bad boy in action. So let's do that right now. So the first thing you want to do is you want to fill up your inventory because you don't want any extra slots for buckets to come in. And then we're going to turn the farm on. So this is an auto timing system that I'm going to get to later, but for the first initial start, you're just going to want to turn it on. As you can see here, we got a lot of buckets that start to dispense. Those are buckets that you're going to collect lava with. We can put down our minecart for the first time. We can hop in. And then we want to make sure our inventory is completely full here, so we can actually keep that right there. Let's go into survival, game mode, game mode, survival. And you're going to want to look up and hold right click. So let's give the card a little start, and then we're looking up and we're holding right click. And as we reach the other side, you can see that our buckets are then, we get more buckets. So the buckets are provided for us. And basically, that's it. This is the entire farm. You just hold right click, buckets rain down. The lava is collected, trust me. And then you get auto sent back every, I think 16 minutes, give or take. So most of these things should be full by then. Alright, and then the cart makes its way back. Usually you'd still be holding right click up at the ceiling. It doesn't matter because all of the cauldrons are empty, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm showing you sort of what it looks like under here. But after the cart eventually makes its way back, let's go into spectator here. You can see that some of the cauldrons are now filling up again, and that's the farm. Here's our nice lava buckets. They're probably overflowing. Yeah, so let's go back into creative here. I didn't build really enough storage, but this is where all of the lava buckets end up. Yeah, that's it. It's not revolutionary, but it's a pretty interesting farm, to be honest. So let's talk about the mechanics and how it works now, because I'm pretty stoked to show you some of this shit. Alright, so the cart just made its way back. Usually there'd be a player in there that's just holding right click up at the sky, and then in around 16 minutes, all of the new buckets will be dispensed, and whatchamacallit, the cart will be sent off once again. So that's pretty neat. Let's show you the mechanics now so you know what I'm on about. So if you didn't know this, rails can now be waterlogged in 1.17. It does look pretty cursed if I'm being honest here. I keep forgetting about this feature, but this is where it's useful. So when you're moving on a minecart underwater, it moves much slower, which is useful if you're trying to right click and get shit out of cauldrons. Because at normal rail speed here, we just like graze past half the cauldrons and we would be collecting like half of our potential lava. So useful mechanic right here. This was actually not my idea. I saw this like waterlogged rails implementation in El Mango's powdered snow farm video. So credit where credit's due. It's a great way to just collect items here. And then let's get to the core mechanic here. This is the important part. So if you have a lava source above the dripstone, as you can see, the dripstone's dripping down, and it will be able to fill up this cauldron with lava. So that's how it's renewable. That's it. That's the mechanic. Not super complicated. So let's talk about how this farm actually works and some of the design choices I made. Alright, so you're probably looking at this absolute clusterfuck and wondering how anybody could build something so overly convoluted. And the answer is because I built this up in one sitting, trying to just wrangle a farm together without a lot of thought for the spacing here. So let's start with the start switch. This is the 16.5-minute timer that powers the farm. The actual expected duration for these cauldrons to be filled up is around 22 minutes, but I thought this was a good compromise because it's a super simple clock to build. We just have a ton of observers on a falling edge circuit here. So every 16 minutes, this observer powers the repeater, and we have a little pulse extender that'll make sure each one of these boys dispense 16 buckets, and that is the exact number of cauldrons you have to drain as you're moving along on the tracks. So this is the next important... You know what? Fuck it. We're going into spectator here. So this is the next important mechanic. So you have 16 of these cauldrons that you're trying to fill your buckets with. So every time you round the corner, you run into another one of these droppers that will have dispensed fresh buckets for you. And then you keep going back and forth. Oh, look, it's the next dropper with fresh buckets. So that's how the buckets are renewed. I should probably show you, beneath this entire John is hoppers. So these hoppers are what's going to be collecting those lava buckets and moving them into the storage over here. Then we also have a system to obviously power the droppers. They dispense the right amount of buckets. It's just repeaters. That's the entirety of that complexity. Then up top here we got our big we got our big lava pool that's filling up the cauldrons. And then we also have our... So basically the buckets keep circulating around. And then we also put them into this hopper, which puts them back into the dropper so they don't despawn. So if you happen to put too many buckets in the bucket filling chest, you're chilling. They won't despawn. They'll just keep going around filling up the droppers until the cows come home. We also have an item filter. So just in case, this is rare, but just in case one of the cauldrons isn't completely full or something goes wrong, we have an item filter here for the empty buckets. So the empty buckets are actually recycled and they're shot up through this really messy dropper elevator until they get into the chest up here, in which they're dispensed back into the water stream. So this is the stream that just fills up all of our droppers with buckets. That's about it. You can see over here is a much worse farm that I attempted to build because I didn't have any way to dispense buckets. So yeah, that was not super pretty. But yeah, now, and I really regret to inform you this, we're going to have to talk about some of the downsides of this farm, because there are quite a few. Alright, the first very big problem, let's go actually into creative. So our first big problem with this farm, and I'm sure some of the clever sleuths in the comments have already spotted this, but we're using an absolute metric fuckload of lava sources. That's not great. This is a pain in the ass to collect. You're going to have to go to the nether, and then you're going to have to individually place a lava bucket in each one of these sections. So a pit, like a feed tape of the cauldrons moving around, like a few lava sources, would have been a much more elegant solution. But this is like the mega just overkill for no reason type beat farm, so that's what we're doing. Another one of the issues is the amount of buckets this farm requires to get going. It's a lot of buckets, it's a lot of iron, so that's not great. And then the final, and arguably one of the larger issues here, is the amount of components and blocks you have to place for really a pretty simple farm is kind of stupid high. So I wouldn't really recommend building this up on survival. It's more just a proof of concept and just to see if renewable lava is even like worth farming, which it actually is. So that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. What the fuck would you ever use this farm for? And the answer is this shit right here, this chest coming out with lava buckets. Yeah, that can go directly into your super smelter in survival. And I'm actually going to build up a similar farm to this on Opticraft, because I think it would be pretty cool to have the super smelter powered by lava buckets instead of bamboo, which is the most obnoxious thing to power the super smelters with. So yeah, that's the farm. Them's its applications, and admittedly quite a lot of weaknesses. So yeah, that's about it. Alright, thank you guys for watching another episode of 1.17 Explored. This is one of the more convoluted farms I've built, so really I would not recommend building this in survival, but the proof of concept's still interesting. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. But I'll see you in the next one. Bye.